Merci, Madame la Présidente. Madam Speaker, amending our standing rules to include a permanent legislative agenda is a good thing. It's been a long time coming. It's something that when I was here as the sole Green in the Legislative Assembly started advocating for, and we've continued to do that. We worked with the official opposition during the Higgs government's years to try and get a good permanent calendar in place. That didn't happen, Madam Speaker. So it's good to see that this motion is being brought forward. However, there is a problem with what this government is proposing in the calendar, in the motion, and it is is intending to do exactly what the Higgs government had planned, Madam Speaker, and that is to sit for just 48 days a year, Madam Speaker. 48 days a year is way too short. When I began sitting in this legislature, representing the people of Fredericton-South in 2014, 2015, Madam Speaker, we sat for 63 days. 63 days, not 40 days. But after that first session, Madam Speaker, it got dropped, it got cut severely, so we were sitting for 39 days, 34 days, 45 days. So, Madam Speaker, this is inadequate. It's inadequate to ensure that this Legislative Assembly can do its job to hold the executive branch, the Premier and Cabinet, to account on behalf of the people of this province. That's the role, a primary role of this Legislative Assembly, Madam Speaker. And the fewer days we're in this House, the fewer opportunities we have to do that. It also, of course, that number of days, Madam Speaker, seriously limits the opposition business, the time for opposition business, Madam Speaker, and that's not appropriate either. So, Madam Speaker, I believe we need to return to longer sitting days. The shorter sitting days, what I've witnessed, Madam Speaker, is since that has been in place, whoever was the official opposition, Madam Speaker, whichever party was in the official opposition, Madam Speaker, were filibustering on inconsequential bills that just dragged the puck. There was no principle involved, which a filibuster can properly be used for. They were inconsequential bills. It's just been an effort to drag the puck. Both parties do it when they're in opposition with so few days until we get close to running out of time in the sitting, Madam Speaker, so then they can, try and get something they want from the government, again, whichever of the two parties is in official opposition, Madam Speaker, and that's not the way things should work. And of course, when we finally get to near the end of the sitting, Madam Speaker, time after time the government has to call closure or time allocation to get the work of the legislature done before we're supposed to adjourn. So, Madam Speaker, if we revert to the number of sitting days that historically was our practice up to and including in the year 2014-2015, I think that would reduce the amount of unnecessary filibustering. And I say unnecessary filibustering, Madam Speaker, because there are times where it's an appropriate parliamentary tactic on principle, but too many times it's used on inconsequential bills just to rag the puck, to delay, make the government side nervous about not getting the work done, not really wanting to bring in closure. Can they get something from the government? And then we end up seeing closure as well anyways, and that gives the opposition, official opposition, no matter what party's there, the chance to complain and accuse the government of all kinds of terrible things. So if we could just get away from that, Madam Speaker, it doesn't look good on us in this period where we're at right now, where people's faith in institutions is at an all-time low, their trust in politicians is at an all-time low. They're discussed sometimes, Madam Speaker, the behavior that they see inside our Legislative Assembly and as a collective, Madam Speaker, as a collective, especially during question period. So, Madam Speaker, things have got to change. We've got to up our game in this Legislative Assembly. We have got to win back the hearts and minds of New Brunswickers. To rebuild trust in this institution, Madam Speaker, this is supposed to be the seat of our democracy, not a rubber stamp for the government of the day. So this would be a way to begin to rebuild that trust. If we reverted to sitting more days, Madam Speaker, than we have now for 9 or 10 years, more to the historical number of days. We would get more done. We would be able to hold the executive branch, the cabinet, premier and cabinet, to account more regularly. Opposition business would not be as constrained as it is today, and we would be able to do a much better job overall of representing the people of this province and doing good work for the people of this province in the Legislative Assembly, Madam Speaker. So for those reasons, I'm going to introduce an amendment to the motion, Madam Speaker, seconded by the member for Tantramar, and the motion that has been made is would be amended as follows by deleting all of the words following that and substituting the following. The recommendations contained in the first report of the Standing Committee on Procedure, Privileges and Legislative Officers presented on March 28, 2024 during the third session of the 60th Legislative Assembly be concurred in by the House with the following amendment. In Standing Rule 32.11b, by deleting March and substituting February, and by deleting 24 sitting days and substituting 40 sitting days, Madam Speaker, adding 16 sitting days to our calendar is going to be enshrined in our rules. Madam Speaker, would return us to our traditional number of sitting days and allow us to get back to fully working for the people of this province.